Hello, my sexy people. Welcome back to episode 2 of YYoyín. YYoyín is a podcast and Substack for the soft, the ambitious, the beautifully self-aware, where each episode starts with one question, and one question that is why, and unfolds into a conversation about growth, about purpose, identity, and becoming. From why you're allowed to want more, why you deserve to have more, to shine loudly. This space is about ambition, where ambition meets softness. It's about where we talk about healing, hustle, heartbreak, and hope with humor and honesty. Created and hosted by YYoyín, which is me. YYoyín is a part self-reflection, part story time, and part manifesto for everyone rewriting what success feels like. Because you're not behind, you're just becoming. Stay grounded, stay glowing, and remember, you are the why. Dear sexy people, we have made it to the second episode. Oh, I'm so excited. And before we get into it, let's talk about the tea of today. So today's tea is going to be from Witted. It's a gingerbread tea, and it's a gingerbread black tea to be specific, so you don't need to add milk and sugar, but if you do, it's not that bad. It has hints of spice. I would say it's a bit spicy, like a gingerbread, with that cinnamon twing, if I were to say it. But I love this tea so much. It's kind of similar to Assam tea, but with the holiday mood, the holiday spirit. As you can tell, with the Christmas tree beside me, the roses behind me, I am in very good mood today. And I've spent this day reflecting, and sometimes when you spend the day is where you don't have that much on your plate, reflecting and relaxing, you do get caught in kind of a relapse of comparison. And that's exactly what has happened today. So that's exactly why this episode is called Why Comparison is Killing Your Clarity. Let's get into it, shall we? Today's why is why comparison is killing your clarity. Let's get real. Comparison is the real thief of joy, if we're being so honest. And they're not just saying it for a quote, they're genuinely saying it. It really is. It sneaks in when you scroll, when you watch, and when you see other people living in ways which you would want for yourself. Especially with the new year coming. Everyone's looking at their new year resolutions, stuff they've done for the year, stuff they're looking forward to, and something specifically that they're looking for and looking at is other people and other people's lives. And you do this all the time, consciously scrolling, through doom scrolling, through just seeking information, seeking inspiration sometimes. You just catch yourself thinking, am I not doing better? They have it better. Or I'm behind, or my journey isn't enough, and I haven't done enough this year, and I wish I could have done more. And wow, look at them, they've done so much, and they're growing so much. And duh, who hasn't felt that way? Who hasn't felt being in despair and being confused about their lives, and just seeing other people and their journeys and seeing the highlight reels on social media and think, why enough does my life not look like that? I'm going to challenge you to change your perspective. Because today we're going to unpack why a comparison doesn't inspire and why it does disconnect you from your lane, and how to defeat that transition, transmute that energy and transmute that envy and reclaim your clarity, reclaim your identity, your shine and uniqueness to listen to the most important person here. And who is that? The most important person is yourself. Hence why we're going to get into it right now. My struggles with comparison. Oh my gosh, I'm like one of the best people to talk about with this. Because I feel like I've lived so many lives already, and I'm only in my second decade. I'll be honest, comparison, low-key still to this day, is one of my biggest struggles. Everyone, even in my quote-unquote manifesting, spiritual, even religious praying era, an affirmations era, thinking you can like affirm these feelings and these feelings with doubt away. I catch myself slipping pretty often, and it's a human thing, especially in the world we live in. Like I said, you tend to see everyone's highlight reels on Instagram, on social media, on TikTok, on all these different social media platforms. You can't not escape it. You see on billboards all the time with the beautiful pictures of edited, unedited women in really nice clothes or like really nice makeup and hairstyles. You cannot, and even men as well, you see all these beautiful people and you can't really escape from seeing everyone's perfect lives and then to go home into your room and just think, damn, is my life not as perfect? Like, wow, what's really going on? Say that, oh, she's got it better or he's ahead and their life looks so good that they look so ahead and they've got it all together. And here's the truth. Everything you admire in someone else is just not theirs. It's proof of what's possible to you. And that's another thing that's helped me change my perspective. For example, I model and I love the modeling industry to an extent. And whenever I see some mutuals of mine get like really cool jobs, I'm like, wow, they got such a cool job. I don't tend to think, well, what you may think is that you'll think, oh, straight to, damn, they got such a cool job. Why couldn't I get that job? No, what you're supposed to think is, and train your mind to think more of is, wow, they got such a cool job. I can also do the same. I can also push myself to get such a cool job. This can go to so many other things as well. It doesn't have to be that. It could be someone of your mutuals or friends that's getting into it's one of your mutuals or friends that's getting into content creation. And just like, wow, they're doing such a great job, even though they're just starting out. And then you'll just think, damn, they've already gotten up so quickly. Let me see if I can do that. Not that, oh, wow, how's people been able to push and look at their stuff already? So really try and change your mindset into how you view people and view the achievements and success of what they've got, because it's honestly just proof of what's possible for you and for you to achieve. And everything that's you think is beneath you, if we're talking about the other side of comparison, is still a part of you that you still need to quote unquote decode and think about. Comparison is so funny because it steals your sparkle and it just measures your journey by someone else's standards. You don't know their lives, you don't know their journey, you don't know what they're going through. You have no idea what they were going through, whether it's positive or negative. And of course, no journey is ever going to look the same. It's just what I love about life, that life is really your own personal experience, your own personal journey, and everything's so personal. So the thing is, if everything's so personal, why would you personally then try and compare your own life and your own journey to someone else's personal journey? You're both all on your own lanes, you're on your own timelines. The thing is, there's no universal standard. Everyone thinks that there's some high regard standards. There's no universal standard. And for a lot of people, especially in this generation and this century that we're in, most people's standards is just the latest trend that's around. Oh, I have to follow this and have to do this and I have to do that. You don't have to do that. You don't. There's only you. There's only your lane, and your lane is sacred. And you have to remember that. Inspiration versus imitation. Oh, these words are so interesting. Not at all looking at others is bad. I think it's amazing to look at others when it comes to this time of the year, especially creating Pinterest boards and creating that New Year vision board that they like to call it. It's a vision board, yeah. So creating new vision boards and manifestos for what you would want for the new year, I think it's amazing. You should definitely look for other inspirational people and people you look up to. I think that's amazing. Not looking at others is not bad at all. Inspiration exists. Inspiration clearly happens. People do it all the time. I do it all the time. It's normal. Inspiration is looking at what someone is doing and thinking, yes, that's possible for me. Yeah, imitation, that's comparison's ugly cousin. Let's be so honest. Trying to copy what someone else has had or has had and being hard on yourself for not actually being them or creating what they've done or doing what they've done step by step. You're not living their life and you are not in their shoes to do the same thing they've done. You can take inspiration for what they've done and inspiration for their journey, especially if they want to showcase their journey upon social media and where people and everyone can see their journey. That's amazing. Definitely do that. But to then imitate and then push yourself and make yourself feel bad for imitating their work or how they've done work and it not being the same for you step by step, it's just crazy. It actually reminds me of DNA. So in DNA, I need to double check my notes because I do know this because I study biomedical science. But DNA, there's a thing in epigenetics where even DNA, down to the DNA, which proves that you can't really imitate, to be honest, because all cells of an individual, from heart to brain and skin cells, generally contain the same DNA sequence, right? And within this DNA sequence, you can have the same DNA code, but it all can differentiate and express into different codes. And this is primarily explained by epigenetics, but it's the degenerate nature of a genetic code, to be honest. And I just double checked my biology notes, so I made sure I said the right thing. But I don't want to say no wrong thing out here before you guys start asking, oh, are you really studying a degree? Yeah, I'm studying a degree. I'm trying. I just finished my last exam, so girl's been tired. And let's go back to imitation. Scroll intentionally if you are looking to be inspired, but understand that when you are scrolling unconsciously and you're not scrolling intentionally and scrolling just to, I guess, casually be entertained or doom scroll, ask yourself, am I being inspired right now? Or am I just comparing myself? Am I in the state of inspiration? Or am I in the state of imitation? When we scroll mindlessly, our comparison tends to creep in a lot. And every time you compare, you disconnect yourself from your lane. And every time you compare, you also cheapen your glisten, you cheapen your shine as a human being. And it sucks to hear, but it's true. And it's just a hard thing you need to know, so you know that you are very self-aware of your actions and how you can avoid these certain things. As you all know, it's my favorite part. It's the spiritual and historical insight part. So it's where I go back into just the famous quote-unquote religious texts, famous historical insight texts, and just talk about the actual inspiration I gained from these texts and how I've been able to form this episode into one. So let's talk about the Bible. The Bible says, do not conform to the pattern of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of the mind in Romans 12, verse 12. And this reminds us to not measure ourselves by ourselves and by others. I think this is really, really lovely quote in Romans, because even though it's said multiple times, and I hear this every Sunday in church, they always repeat these same quotes in John 3:16 as well. It's one of the famous ones out there, but I think this quote is pretty good for a reason, because you shouldn't conform yourself to the pattern of the world and the patterns of the things you see every single day and what the trends are in this life. But do try to be transformed by the renewing of your own mind, the renewing of your own lane. Understand where you are going in your life and how you can make a change and how you really can focus more on your path and be more intentional with the things that you want to do. In the Quran, it says, and he found you, lost and guided you. In 93 verse 7. Not everyone has their own path. We are guided in many ways we may not see. And I think that's so beautiful. I think this is really interesting because a lot of the times, especially in my life as well, I do find myself lost. Even today, before I was going to record this podcast episode, I was procrastinating a lot. I was just like, no, I'll do later. And at the last minute, before I'm getting ready to just do some more editing, I said, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to record this episode. And it's true. I was lost, and yet I found myself guided again to record. Everyone really has their own path as well as their own specific DNA. And we are guided in the ways which people really may not see. In Hindu philosophy, it states that the concept of sadhana, your personal duty or your own path, teaches you that fulfillment comes when you follow your own dharma and not someone else's. So you will only be fulfilled if you really follow your own path and you follow your own calling. And it's really interesting to hear, because I guess the questions which lead on from that is, okay, how do I find my own path? How do I find my own calling? How do I do this? You need to spend time with yourself. And I really should do another podcast episode called Why You're Scared to Be Alone, because a lot of people do like to lean into this, yet they haven't really spent time with themselves or spent time alone. When was the last time you just heard your own thoughts and heard silence? A lot of the time in this day and age, we are forced fed junk every single day, not the physical, but the literal in our mind. And it's so annoying because you find yourself watching this new show or watching this new movie and doing this new trend and buying this new thing and all these physical things which take place in our mind, which really stops us from actually hearing ourselves and hearing our own voices and trusting ourselves and trusting our own path and trusting who we are and where we want to be, which is really upsetting. But I think it's also a really strengthening thing to know and be in a self-aware position to understand that, because then, only then, you'll be able to move on and start taking steps to start becoming better and becoming to your own path, your own lane, and hearing your own voice again. Now, in terms of historical context, I just decided last minute, let's just look at historical things, I guess. Sure. Think of historical icons. So people who are radical in their own time and known for being leaders within their own time. Frida Kahlo, I guess the Tesla guy, Maya Angelou. They didn't copy anyone and they've just followed their own lane, and eventually the world caught up. That's genuinely what you have to do after you've taken time to find your voice and find your inner calling and find your own path and hear your voice and hear yourself. Then it's when you'll be able to catch up, and then you'll be able to find your own path and find your own lane and run to the light. Keep running and running and running, and I'm telling you, you will find it. Comparison tends to blind us from finding our own unique dharma. Walking a path while the world shows you flashes of other journeys, and I really do see it as you're walking your own lane and then there's just fireworks on the other side and you're just like, damn, where did those lights come from? Don't get lost in people's highlights and someone else's highlight reel of life, because that's really what life is on social media. Let's break it down practical. Hey. I don't know if you guys like my intro for that to being practical and talking about advice moving forward, but yeah, we decided to make this quick and snappy and chappy or whatever. Let's talk about practical advice, because I'm not just going to be giving out all of this and telling you and being completely self-aware with you and giving it to you straight without actually helping you and giving you step-by-step motions, which I've personally done throughout my life and throughout this year especially, which has helped me deal with comparison and helped me be more clear on my vision, on my journey. So, pause and notice. Anytime you catch yourself, just pause and notice when you feel a twinge of jealousy or envy or insecurity. Stop and take a breath. In fact, we haven't taken a breath today. Let's take a breath and have some tea, shall we? Let's take a breath, shall we? Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. That felt amazing. Wow. After you take your breath, ask yourself, am I inspired or am I comparing? Am I inspired to do this trend? Or am I just imitating so I can get likes and follows just like everyone else has done through doing this trend? Another thing that's helped me is gratitude. Write 3 things about your journey that you're proud of. I only write 1 thing or 2 things in my gratitude list. I try every single day to write at least 1 thing. And it has to be so simple. On your notes app, I put things that have gone well today. And I'll say, my bed felt really warm. Something as silly as the water was on today. And something as great and grandeur as I got booked a job with an amazing rate as a model. There's so many great things to be grateful for, which I think more people need to take into account of. Every win counts, and when you see these wins after you counted them for a while, and especially when you do this exercise daily, you will see that, wow, I really have done a lot of things, and they'll bring you back to your lane and bring you back to seeing the light of your own path. So you don't get caught up in imitation. You don't get caught up in comparison and intentionally scrolling. I love a good doom scroll. Trust me, I'm just like you all at like 2 a.m. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I need to be entertained. Let's doom scroll. I have started transitioning to longer forms of content. So we're looking at Netflix or going back to YouTube, Obviously, my podcast, like we're going back to the podcast, we're going back to the longer movies, the longer series episodes. I have been trying to do that more often. But if you are going to scroll, try and scroll intentionally. Follow accounts that uplift you, that inspire you, that don't trigger inadequacy, because you are not inadequate. You're very smart, you're very sexy, and you are very stylish. Comparison will always sneak in. It's human. You're a human being. You're going to compare yourself whether you like it or not. It's life. People are doing better. Some people aren't. It's life. You're going to be like, oh, wow, this, that. Like, that's fine. But intentionally catching it and pressing a pause on that, that's the power you have. And that's the power you can start to strengthen. And that's you reclaiming your light and reclaiming your glisten. Here's your permission slip for today to honor your lane. Celebrate your glisten, celebrate your lights. And let others' success remind you that this world is abundant. There's nothing this world cannot provide for you. There's nothing in this world that you cannot get. You can put your mind to anything and achieve it. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't. And let people's success remind you that this world is huge and this world is abundant and it's fueled with abundance. And you are never lacking. Remember that comparison is just a thief of joy, and do not let it steal you from yours. Stay grounded and stay glowing and keep walking in your life and in your lane unapologetically. Thank you so much for watching YYoyín, and make sure you read more on my Substack and listen on streaming services such as Buzzsprout, YouTube, and even Spotify. Thank you for staying tuned for episode 2 of YYoyín, where YYoyín is where we laugh, we heal, and we glow through the chaos of becoming one Y at a time. I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye.